Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier. The DRF Bets Race of the Day for Wednesday, April the 25th, race number 6 at Keeneland. We're going 1 mile on the turf, and it is a really nice N3X allowance race. You can bet it with DRF Bets and your $150 sign-up bonus. To access the bonus, sign up for an account at drf.com/join. Please use the promo code TV150. Let's take a look at this field. We're expecting a little bit of wet weather in the Lexington, Kentucky area early in the week. Hopefully this race stays on the turf. Rain or shine, you can access free Formulator Pass performances for this Race of the Day on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Download them, handicap along with us. Matt and I are going to take this field in post-position order, beginning with the number 1 Annihilator, Matt, who comes out of a common race with a couple of these horses on March 16th at Gulfstream. And boy, I really couldn't find any excuse. He pressed a slow pace and just didn't have it in the lane.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if it's just a matter of, is he not quite that good? Is he not quite as good as some of the horses like a Frostmorn or even a Conquest Enforcer? Unfortunately for him, he's running into a number of common opponents in this race as well, including Profiteer. Annihilator, I suppose a nice positive for him is he can be forwardly placed, and I think that's been very, very important at Keeneland over this meeting on the turf. But at the same time, I'm kind of with you. I don't have really any excuse for that last race. I'm not sure he's good enough.
Gate to wire winner 2 starts back when riding a slow pace, but there does appear to be some other speed in here that might deny him the lead. I'm with you. I'm not sure he's good enough right now to take down these non-winners of 3 other than. Now, the number 2, Dot Matrix, has just turned his form around since being transferred to trainer Brad Cox. He has won 2 of 3, the loss coming by a scant nose 2 starts back at the fairgrounds. This horse has a good amount of tactical speed. He's paired up by our tops in his last 2 races. I know that's a nice angle for you. He certainly has a chance. To me, though, 3-1 seems a little bit light.
Yeah, agreed. I'd like him to be more in that sort of 9-2, 5-1 range. I think he'd be more interesting at that point for what it's worth. The second and third place finishers, that most recent win for him, they ran in that 1.5-mile race most recently, 87 and 83 buyers. I don't know that I want to hold that against this horse. At the same time, I don't know. It's just another instance where, again, from a value standpoint, to me, he's a little on the light side, anywhere close to the possible favorite in here.
But the switch to Cox, the removal of blinkers, have turned this horse's form around. The number 3 is Bondurant. You know I am Bondurant's biggest fan. He always runs well at Keeneland. You can make several excuses for his most recent race. That was the race that featured Annihilator. There was no pace on tap. We know that Bondurant really is not a pace horse. He likes to come from off of it. A, you could say he was compromised by the slow pace. B, you can say he was compromised by coming back off of a layoff. And the race 2 starts back. He was actually on the lead, where I don't think he wants to be, over yielding ground. You take those 2 races out, you're left with a good runner-up effort at this level 3 starts back, albeit with a slow fig. Where's the fast Bondurant? Is he coming back on Wednesday?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, I think it's one of those things. He had really good form there for a while toward the beginning of last year, and then it just sort of tailed off for one reason or another. But he's been kind of a horse that he doesn't like to get the job done. He's always been a little bit more of a nibbler necessarily than a killer. I kind of look at him, though, and think, Keeneland, we've talked about it. You were the one that kind of keyed me off to it a number of years ago. Certain horses just get over that turf course a little bit better than others do. And you look at his career record, he's 3 for 4 in the exacta with a couple of victories. I wonder if getting back, maybe this was sort of I don't want to say this was the plan all along for Ian Wilkes, but knowing that he runs well here, they usually do very well in Kentucky. Let's get a race into him down at Gulfstream. We'll bring him back over a course that we know that he can handle. The question is, he's going to need to move faster. There's no question about that. But do you think that the pace is going to be fast enough to help set up that kick? And can he overcome what is potentially a speed-friendly turf course right now?
This second start back's been a very good angle for Bondurant over the years. He won his second lifetime start at Keeneland. He won second off the layoff in 2016 in October at Keeneland. He ran second in the Grade 3 Canadian Turf. He gave Heart to Heart a run, second off the layoff at Gulfstream. This has been an angle that works for him, and he might be sharp and ready to go for Ian Wilkes. Profiteer, I think, is very dangerous for Shug McGahee because he comes out of that Bondurant Annihilator race. He might have been compromised most by the slow pace because he was really far behind. He came with an okay run in the stretch. Conquest Enforcer, the runner-up, came back, acquitted himself quite well against Canadian champion Pink Lloyd, went 3rd in the Jacques Cartier last week with a 95 buyer speed figure. Profiteer's a solid horse who usually is going to pop a buyer between 90 and 95.
Yeah, it seems like he continues to improve, and it's the typical MO for Shug. As they get older and they get more experience, they generally get better. I'm always going to be curious to find out, would they ever stretch this horse out? I'd love to see him at 1.25 miles or even 1.5 miles. does not mean that he cannot win in a spot like this. If they go honest enough early on, I think he's probably going to come with a serious run.
We talked about Annihilator as a possible pace presence, but the number 5 Fluoro Plus is expected to be on the lead as we queue up our Timeform US pace projector. And this is no surprise because Fluoro Plus is stretching out from 5.5 furlongs to this 2-turn distance. The question really is distance for Fluoro Plus. He's by City Zip. I don't see why he can't get the mile. And when you look at this pedigree, the dam's a 3/4 sister to Chekhov, who was graded stakes place going long on the dirt. And the dam's also a half to the dam of Albert the Great, who could run all day long. So I think Fluoro Plus will get the mile. The question is he good enough for Brett Calhoun?
Yeah, I don't know how much pace pressure he's going to get because I think he is very clearly the fastest horse in the race. I think really the tough thing for me would be if you like this horse, how much more pressure is he going to take early on? Are they going to be hounding him? Is he going to be going 46 to the half? Because I agree, I don't think the distance is necessarily a problem. It's the combination of the stretch out for the first time and possibly having to put someone else away. And if you do put the other pace away, then you got to deal with the good horses coming from the back. There are a lot of things going against him. But again, if you tell me he's going to be 10, 12, 15 to 1, he's certainly one to take a flyer on.
8 to 1 on the morning line. Potential lone F plus a positive formulator fact as we see from the Calhoun barn. For the past couple of years, last out older winners on turf coming off a mini layoff. He's winning at 45% with a $2.47 return on investment. I think the key to the race is if Zulu Alpha lets Fluoro Plus go, or if Zulu Alpha is a little bit aggressively ridden by Brian Hernandez and parks himself off Fluoro Plus, hoping that Fluoro Plus just doesn't get this distance. Zulu Alpha ran an inoffensive race last time out in the Grade 2 Muniz Memorial. He went to the front, he took a little bit of early pressure, and those horses in the stretch were just better than him. He was 91 to 1 and he easily outran his odds. I think he's okay from tracking speed. He's got the best last buyer speed figure. 5 to 1 I think is a very fair price. I'm not sure I'm going to get it.
Yeah, when he came over here, I feel like every time we've talked about this horse or he's been in a race, I've said this. When he first got here, I thought he was going to be very, very good. And it just never seemed to happen. He never seemed to put it all together. And then with that Muniz, I said, I don't know that he can win, but they've got to be aggressive with him. Try to be forward. They did that, and I thought he ran the best race of his career thus far. If you think that he could be the one to push the stretch-out turf sprinter, and maybe that horse doesn't want to go, if Zulu Alpha inherits this thing turning for home, he's very, very live.
He finished ahead of Forge in that Muniz Memorial. That one came back to run third in the Makers 46 with a 101 buyer speed figure. We haven't seen Space Mountain in a while. He was getting good just as the turf season was coming to an end for Rusty Arnold, winning his last 2 starts as a 5-year-old. And in his most recent race, he beat a stablemate that came right back to take a 2X at Gulfstream with a 92 buyer speed figure. The layoff, somewhat of a concern for Space Mountain, but another horse that if you give him pace, he likes Keeneland.
Yeah, certainly does. 1 for 2 over this course, like you say in the past. You brought up the layoff. That's the big concern for me. I think this horse is going the right direction, but off of this kind of layoff, Rusty Arnold, past 5 years, winner last out, 61 to 180 day layoff, 1 for 15. It's not a giant sample size, but only 53% ROI. If he gets some pace, I think he can run at the end. But again, I think combining the layoff with the potential pace scenario, which may not be blistering, I'll sit back and wait.
We're talking about layoffs, but not the kind of layoff that Tweet Kitten's coming out of. Tweet Kitten hasn't run since the Keeneland Spring Meet of 2016. That's a long, long time, over 2 years for Michael Maker. And when we last saw him, he was sharp. He'd won 3 out of his last 4. You don't put a sharp horse away for 2 years without there being some sort of a serious reason. When this horse was good, he was pretty good. What are we going to get off the layoff? I don't know, but there are worse 10 to 1 connections to take a shot of with this kind of horse.
It's unfortunate that something clearly went really, really wrong because, like you say, you don't put a horse away for 2 years. I don't care if they're in terrible form. They'll go away for 2 years. This horse, when he was running, he was in good form. He was running against decent enough horses. He likes Keeneland. He's a perfect 2 for 2 over the course. I think he's an interesting sort of price in here, but the problem is, again, how could you possibly have any confidence? I know it is Maker, and it's Ramsey, and it's Rosario. It's 2 years, man. It's 2 years. We're not talking 2 months. 2 years. I have no idea if he can still run.
Let's take a look at our top selections for Wednesday's DRF Bets Race of the Day. You're going with my old friend Bondurant. It would just be poetic justice for you to beat me with Bondurant. I've been chasing him for so long. He hasn't won since October 2016. But maybe second off the layoff and getting back to his favorite course is just what the doctor ordered.
That's I don't have a super strong opinion in this race, but I kind of feel like second off the layoff, back to Keeneland, could possibly work out a decent trip in here, and he might be a decent price in here. Leparoux's got the mount. If I can get every bit of the 5, he's one that I'd be making a win wager on.
I like Zulu Alpha cutting back to this mile distance, and I think Brian Hernandez is going to do the right thing and follow Floro Plus out of there in a tracking spot. Hope that horse doesn't get the trip and hopefully inherit this thing at about the 3/16 pole. I am very worried about Profiteer, who I thought was really up against it from a race flow standpoint last time out. I'm going 6, 4, 8, and 7 in race number 6. Wednesday's DRF Bets race of the day. And again, if you're playing the Keeneland Wednesday card from home, no better place than with DRF Bets and its $150 sign-up bonus. Go to drf.com/join for all the details. Type in the promo code TV150 to access your account and your bonus. Approximate post time for race number 6 at Keeneland on Wednesday, 3:51 Eastern. Best of luck.